Let's actually review the layers of the atmosphere first. I think that'll be better. I do want to introduce you to a new term. And this new term I've already written up here on the anchor chart. It's also going to be right up here for you, and I will highlight it. You will want to put this in your notebooks, and you'll want to see it. We have talked about the sun strikes the earth at different angles on multiple times this year. We said that because the sun directly strikes the equator, it stays very hot there most of the year. We also said because the sun barely glances off of the poles, that at the North and the South Pole it stays very cold most of the time. Thumbs up if you have heard that before. Everybody's thumb is up. Good. However, what we really have not talked about is this. What do we call the angle at which the sun strikes the earth, which determines how much of the sun's energy reaches the earth? Does anyone know that? Not altitude. It's a very different term. Who in here speaks Spanish? Somebody speaks Spanish? What is the Spanish word for sun? Sol. This word has the word sol embedded into it. Insolation. Who can tell me how that might get confusing later? Ava. Insolation and conducting, right? There's a big difference. Insolation. And you'll see that I tried to do my best here and kind of failed a little bit. But sol, which is sun. Insolation. The way, the angle at which the sun strikes the earth. I'm going to pause the video. So if you're watching the video, you can pause it as long as you want to and jot that down. All right, for this portion of the review, I am going to make it fairly quick because I'm going to need a lot of the time to go over weather versus climate, and then we're going to get into weather instruments here in a little bit as well. But if we remember, everybody thank Miss Saunders today. I'm going to kind of make it a challenge on you. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. Here's the Earth. What layer of the atmosphere is just above the Earth, Will? Troposphere. Wesley, what goes on in the troposphere? Weather happens here. Excellent. So if I'm working my way backwards, now I'm at Saunders. What does the S stand for? Hunter. Stratosphere. There's two important things in the stratosphere. What are the two important things in the stratosphere, Jamari? The ozone layer. Now, you all have this worksheet. If I were you, I would get my little stuff out later on, and I would put my little ozone stuff right at the top of the stratosphere, because that's something you were supposed to do on that worksheet that you had from yesterday. I'm not going to continue to fill that in, though. What's the other thing that happens in the stratosphere? Batia? The ozone layer blocks the sun, yep. And the other thing? Other thing? Nope, not the northern lights. Planes fly at the top, at the very bottom of this. They like it because the air is less turbulent. Yes, they have to go through the troposphere to get there. So I've got today Saunders. Now I'm at Miss. This one happens to be in the middle. Seems like a whole lot of M's are going on in there. Savannah. Mesosphere. Big important thing about the mesosphere. Jack. Starts with an M. They burn up in the mesosphere, which is in the middle. Close. Meteors. Whoa. M-E-T-E-O. Sorry about that. Meteors. Burn here. Okay, today Saunders Miss. Think. What do I have going on here with the think? The other T. Austin. Thermosphere. I'm going to come back to my person that was talking about this earlier. What goes on in the thermosphere? Northern lights or the aurora Borealis. Okay, this page actually doesn't have it, but we're going to add it to this. We have the E. It's the outermost layer, Talon. Exosphere. What's important about the exosphere? Trust me, if we didn't have this going on, you wouldn't have cell service and you all would go crazy. Kiera. Satellites are here. No satellites. No phones. Ooh. The nightmare. I should make a horror movie about that. It would scare all of you to death. So we need to talk about the difference in weather and the difference in climate. Weather. The day-to-day temperature, precipitation, humidity, etc., etc. The day-to-day things that are happening in the area, right? It's today. It's cool. There's no rain. I don't need a rain jacket right now, but I need to keep my eye on the weather because it could rain soon. I also need to keep my eye on the weather, the day-to-day activities, because at this time of the year, if it rains, it could turn to sleet or snow. We have to watch the weather from day to day. In the beginning of the year in August, at the end of the year when we are leaving in like June, is anybody worried about having a snow day on one of those days? Are you worried about waking up that morning and having 6 inches of snow? No. Day-to-day type of things. You're not worried about it. However, there's a little bit of a difference between weather, and I'll do climate in a little bit different color here to help you out. Climate. Climate, as you can see here, is the trends of temperatures and precipitation over time. And that time can be years, decades, thousands of years. Whoops. The trends of temperature. I'm abbreviating now. Precipitation. Over long periods of time. That is the difference between weather and climate. One, I am measuring day to day. That is my weather. Right? For example, weather and climate are kind of like moods and overall personality. So, if we came in here and I said, hey Hannah, how you doing? She's like, leave me alone. And I would be like, whoa, what in the world? But then if I got a piece of paper and someone said, right after that, please describe Hannah, what she's like. She's about to come to this new school for gifted students. And I would be like, Hannah's a very quiet girl. Always turns things in on time. She's a hard worker. She cares about her schooling. She's self-motivated. I wouldn't write anything about there that she turned into a dragon and tried to breathe fire down my face. That was one instance. That is your mood versus your overall personality. That's weather versus climate. You're going to hear me reference very often prefixes of all of these words. And Seth, they are very important because they tell us on a lot of them what that object actually does. My first object that I'm passing around, and everyone knows what this is a thermometer. Thermo is Greek. It means hot, or therme means heat. What does a thermometer measure? Raising your hand. What does a thermometer measure? Yossi. And when you say it measures if it's cold or hot, we're going to call that temperature. And we know that a thermometer is measuring how much heat is in an object. Anemo means wind. An anemometer measures wind speed. An anemometer measures wind speed. There is a difference between that one and this, which Caroline says measures wind direction. These are two different, Jamari, two different weather tools. If I'm measuring weather or the wind direction, what do I call this instrument? You see them on tops of old houses. You see them on tops of barns. Not a directional. They are called wind vanes. A wind vane measures wind direction. You should not get these confused because only one of them has the compass on it of north, south, east, and west. I'll let you pass this around the room and take a look at it. The wind vane. Next, we have a rain gauge. This measures rainfall. That one's very easy. The word is in there. It measures rainfall. I'll let you pass that around. Every year I put those outside, and every year they get run over by the lawnmower. I don't know why, but it happens. The next instrument that I'm passing around the room is a barometer. Now, I have the Greek meaning of baro up here, and baro means pressure. Raise your hand and tell me what you think a barometer measures. Hunter. Measures air pressure. And Hunter brings up something very important. Often you'll see a low reading, or when you're watching the news, you see that big giant red L moving across the screen. Or you're going to have a high reading, which is a blue H. Now, I know that seems backwards. You want to say the H means hot and the L means low temperatures, but it's actually the opposite of that. The L is going to stand for lousy weather. You're probably going to have rain and thunderstorms and things of that nature when you have a low pressure system moving through. The H stands for us, to help us remember, happy. Happy weather, sunshine, cool, nice, breezy, nothing major going on. My last instrument, I do not have one, although there is one measuring this outside because it shows up on our small little weather clock that we have. And it is a hygrometer. A hygrometer, hygro means moisture. What do you think a hygrometer is measuring? If I'm measuring something about moisture in atmosphere, Zachary. Humidity. Measures humidity. And humidity, easily and shortly defined, is moisture in the air.